one in VLSI design, which is named as power and energy in CMOS. The objective of this video is to make you understand power related issues in CMOS, and after learning or understanding or looking at this video, you will be able to figure out and calculate power and energy consumption in CMOS. So the outline of this unit is power and energy, dynamic power, static power. So power and energy, if we see, power is drawn from a voltage source attached to the VDD pins of a chip. So in the previous video I have shown you CMOS is made up of P channel and N channel MOSFET. So to make them to work the initial inverter as a logic gate, we need to provide it with the supply voltages, which are nothing but called as ground and the supply voltage VDD or the voltage. So once we are giving the VDD the supply voltage, anyway the ground is at the lower potential or the 0 volts, but when we are giving the supply voltage as the higher potential, which is VDD, and that can be varying. If I give it supply as 5 volts, 5 volts is not too small. So in all these cases, what happens to the power drawn for this particular CMOS inverter? So let's see, the instantaneous power which is drawn is indicated as P of t. It is I of t into V of t. So instantaneously, as on time changes, so with respect to the time, the power which is drawn is also in terms of current and voltage at the same time. Next, the energy is given by the formula integral 0 to t time limits P of t into dt. So once you calculate the instantaneous power P, then you can calculate the energy. But what is average power? Average power is for a particular time duration. So it is E by t, or it is nothing but 1 upon t integral 0 to t P into dt. So power in circuit elements, you all know. If I consider a constant DC voltage source, so it is IDD into VDD, the one which is shown here. But suppose if I consider a resistive type of device, and this resistor is drawing the current IR with a voltage VR, then it is VR square upon R, or I square R into R. If I take a capacitive type of device which is given with the supply voltage as VC and the current which is drawn is IC, then it is considered as, because the capacitance with respect to time, it charges and discharges. So we need to consider the time constraint for a capacitor. So integration 0 to infinity for infinite time limit, or for the time limit whatever you know, I into V, or we can write it as integral 0 to infinite C dV upon dt into V dt. So this again can be written as C integral 0 to Vc V of t into dV, which is nothing but half CV square. What about the charging capacitor? So this is the inverter circuit. At the output of the inverter, if I connect a capacitor, so whenever I have the output to be 1, my capacitor charges to that voltage. Whenever my output is coming out to be low, my capacitor should discharge. So to see the charging and discharging of this capacitor, I have just connected the output terminal. So now let's see the charging of this capacitor. So when the gate output rises, gate output is what? Here. So the gate output rises, energy stored in a capacitor is what? It is half C VDD square. But energy drawn from the supply is it is C VDD square, because from the supply it draws I VDD dt, which is CL dV upon dt into VDD dt, which is nothing but CL VDD square. So half the energy from VDD is dissipated in the PMOS transistor as heat, the other half is stored in the capacitor. So when the gate output falls, energy in capacitor is dumped to ground. That means the capacitor should discharge. So it is dissipated as heat in the NMOS transistor, because the discharging is, now if you see this is across the N channel MOSFET, so it is dissipated as heat in the NMOS transistor. So this is how, when the output rises, it stores the charge or the capacitor charges, but it only, the energy stored is half CVDD square. So half is dissipated in the PMOS energy, whereas when the output falls, then it should discharge, and that is dissipated in the NMOS as heat. So now what is the switching power? Switching power is indicated as P switching. When does the switching takes place? When the input changes from 0 to VDD or VDD to 0, then the switching of these two MOSFETs takes place, by which the output also will switch from high to low and low to high. So in these two switching cases, what will be the switching power? So switching power is given as 1 upon T integral 0 to T IDD into VDD. So this VDD is constant, the supply voltage what we give is constant, so we can take it out. So VDD upon T integral 0 to T IDD. But what is this IDD? The current which is shown here at the PMOS is what? It is the time into the switching frequency of the output into the capacitor what we connect and the supply voltage. So it is T FSW C VDD. So finally this T gets cancelled and the resultant will be C VDD square FSW, which is the switching frequency. So the switching power is now directly proportional to the switching frequency. It is directly proportional to the capacitance. It is directly proportional to the square of the supply voltage. What is the activity factor, which is alpha? Suppose the system clock frequency is F, then the switching frequency is nothing but alpha times of F, where alpha is the activity factor. If the signal is a clock, then the alpha is 1. But if the signal switches once per cycle, then alpha is half. So likewise, as the switching changes, then the alpha activity factor also will change, so that your switching frequency will change. So now you might have understood activity factor alpha is also related to calculate the switching power. Next, what is the dynamic power? The dynamic power is nothing but the switching power, which is written in terms of activity factor alpha. Alpha C VDD square F. If you look here, it is just C VDD square F switching. That F switching, if FSW is written as alpha F, where alpha is the activity factor and F is the system clock frequency, then finally my dynamic power P switching is alpha C VDD square F. Next, what are the short circuit currents which will make me to calculate the other powers? So when transistors switch, both NMOS and PMOS networks may be momentarily on for a time being, or for a short period of time they are on at once, both PMOS and NMOS. As we have seen, both are not at a time in the saturation, or both not in the linear or saturation. You have seen in the CMOS inverter transfer characteristics, it is operated in 5 regions of operation. So at a period of time they are both on, both are linear. So in that case, it leads to a blip of short circuit current. So less than 10% of dynamic power if rise and fall times are comparable for input and output, then we will generally ignore this component. So short circuit current is due to the short period of time where both the MOSFETs are on at once. So now we calculate the power dissipation sources. So the total power is the summation of dynamic power plus static power. Dynamic power, we have seen, it is due to the switching of the transistors, whereas static power is due to the short circuit currents. So dynamic power is switching plus short circuit, switching load capacitances, or it is due to short circuit currents, whereas static power is due to the leakage currents. So the leakage currents are subthreshold leakage, gate leakage and junction leakage. So dynamic power reduction, we have seen already the formula. Dynamic power is alpha VDD square F. So how to minimize or how to reduce? So if you want to reduce, we need to reduce the activity factor, or by reducing the capacitance, or by reducing the supply voltage, or by reducing the frequency, we can reduce the dynamic power reduction. Static power is consumed even when chip is quiescent because it is due to leakage currents. Leakage draws power from nominally off devices also. This is ratio circuit burns power in fight between on transistors. So the short circuit currents are not too high, they are very small, but others say that we are supposed to ignore these leakage currents. But these leakage currents also, as I have shown before, subthreshold leakage, gate leakage, junction leakage also plays important role. Even though we try to ignore this also, when in total power dissipation, if we calculate, it also plays a major role. So we need to see the leakage currents, as in off condition also some leakage happens. So total power is dynamic plus static power. So I hope from this you might have understood the power dissipation, static and dynamic, especially the switching power. If the switching power is more, there is more drawing of current, but we need to minimize the activity factor or capacitance or supply voltage or frequency.